December 16, 1944. 0530 hours. The dense fog clings to the snow-covered pines of the Ardennes Forest like a shroud, muffling the world in eerie silence. Suddenly, the ground trembles. Artillery roars to life, shattering the pre-dawn hush as German 150mm howitzers unleash hellfire on American positions along the Schnee-Eifel Ridge. Shells scream overhead, exploding in brilliant flashes that illuminate the faces of Wehrmacht infantrymen huddled in their foxholes, gaunt, frostbitten, eyes wide with a mix of fear and feral determination. The air reeks of cordite and wet earth, and you can almost feel the biting cold seeping through their threadbare greatcoats, the kind that no longer keeps out the wind after years of relentless campaigning. Field Marshal Gerd von Rundstedt, the grizzled veteran of 2 world wars, stands in his command post at the Adlerhorst bunker, a map sprawled before him like a battlefield of ink and pins. His hands, steady despite the arthritis gnawing at his joints, trace the lines of advance for Operation Wacht and Rhein, the last great throw of the dice for the Third Reich. At 68, von Rundstedt knows the odds. Fuel is scarce, men are conscripts scraped from the bottom of the barrel, and the Luftwaffe is a shadow of its former self. But Hitler demands it, a surprise thrust through the weakly defended American lines, splitting the Allies, capturing Antwerp's port, and forcing a negotiated peace. The Führer's will, von Rundstedt mutters to his aide, Oberstleutnant Heinz Guderian hovering nearby. But God help us if the weather doesn't hold. As the barrage lifts, the panzers surge forward. Tiger IIs of the 1st SS Panzer Division Leibstandard Adolf Hitler grind through the mud, their 88mm guns swiveling like predators scenting blood. SS Obersturmbannführer Joachim Paper leads the spearhead, his Kampfgruppe roaring past burning American outposts. GIs from the 99th Infantry Division, green troops caught off guard, scramble from their tents into the chaos. Machine guns chatter, tracers arc through the fog like deadly fireflies. A young American private, his M1 Garand slick with dew, fires blindly into the wideout, heart pounding as shadows materialize, German stormtroopers in white camouflage smocks, bayonets fixed. The Germans advance with ruthless efficiency. By noon, they've punched through at Losheim Gap, capturing bridges intact and rolling over stunned defenders. Von Rundstedt receives the first reports. Breakthrough achieved. Enemy in disarray. A flicker of something like hope stirs in his chest, the old warrior's blood quickening. But whispers among his staff betray the undercurrents, ammunition low after the initial volley, tanks guzzling precious fuel at 2 miles per gallon. Paper's men push on, massacring prisoners at Malmedy in a frenzy of desperation, the snow staining red under the bodies of 84 American POWs. The war has turned primal here, in this frozen hell. Yet, as the day wears on, the fog begins to lift, revealing the vastness of the American rear. Von Rundstedt pores over aerial reconnaissance photos, grainy but telling, endless columns of trucks snaking through the Belgian countryside. He dismisses it at first, logistics, the mundane backbone of war. But his intelligence officer, Major Friedrich von der Haidt, parachuted in with his Fallschirmjäger battalion the night before, radios back fragmented reports of massive supply dumps at Liège and Verviers, guarded by anti-aircraft batteries that light up the sky like fireworks. The Americans, von der Haidt warns, they have everything. Trucks everywhere. Von Rundstedt leans back, lighting a cigarette with a trembling match. The Ardennes offensive is underway, a gamble born of Hitler's delusions and the Reich's dwindling resources. The panzers race forward, but already the first signs of strain appear, bogged-down vehicles, exhausted troops looting American K-rations for warmth. What if the Allies recover faster than expected? What hidden strength lies in those distant horizons? As night falls and the temperature plummets to 0, von Rundstedt stares into the fire, the weight of command heavier than ever. Little does he know, the real shock is barreling toward them on rubber tires. December 19, 1944. 0200 hours. Somewhere west of Spa, Belgium, the night is pitch black, the kind of darkness that swallows sound and hope alike. A low rumble grows on the horizon, steady, mechanical, unstoppable. Headlights pierce the gloom in pairs, then dozens, then hundreds, forming twin rivers of light that snake through the frozen countryside like molten steel. You can smell the diesel before you see them. Sharp, acrid, mixed with the wet wool of exhausted drivers hunched over steering wheels. These are not tanks. These are trucks. GMC Jimmies, Studebakers, Max, painted olive drab and caked in mud, rolling bumper to bumper at 25 miles an hour, no matter the ice, no matter the shell holes. This is the Red Ball Express, born in August on the beaches of Normandy and now reborn in crisis. The name comes from railroad slang. Red Ball meant priority freight, no stops. Now it means survival. Every truck flies a red flag or a circle of red paint on the hood, a signal to MPs at crossroads. Let them through. No delays. No questions. Over 6,000 vehicles tonight alone, driven by men who haven't slept in 48 hours, black soldiers mostly, from the 3,663rd Quartermaster Truck Company, the 3,557th, the 514th, names the history books will barely mention. Their breath fogs the windshields as they chew Benzedrine tablets like candy to stay awake, singing low hymns under their breath to keep the devil of fatigue at bay. Inside a lead truck, Sergeant William G. Snowden of Detroit grips the wheel with gloved hands cracked and bleeding from the cold. His cargo, 5 tons of 105mm shells bound for the 2nd Infantry Division, still reeling near Rocherath. The canvas flaps bulge with crates stenciled urgent. Behind him, another truck carries 2,000 gallons of aviation fuel for the P-47s screaming overhead. A third hauls frozen sides of beef, still swinging on hooks. The convoy never stops, not even when a bridge is out. Engineers throw down treadway sections in minutes, and the trucks roll across like it's pavement. Snowden glances at his watch. He's 40 minutes ahead of schedule. That's the Red Ball way. Back in the German lines, SS Hauptsturmführer Werner Pochk, Paper's operations officer, stares through binoculars from a captured farmhouse near Stavla. His Tigers are down to 20 operational vehicles, fuel gauges kissing empty. He was promised 40,000 gallons from captured American dumps. They found 2,000, most of it sabotaged by retreating GIs who poured sugar in the tanks and vanished. Now this, endless headlights on the horizon, moving west to east, east to west, round the clock. Was zum Teufel ist das? He mutters. His driver, a 19-year-old from Munich, whispers, Amerikanisch Lastwagen, Herr Hauptsturmführer. Tis end. Pochk lowers the binoculars, face pale beneath the grime. He has fought from Kharkov to Normandy, seen the Red Army's human waves. But this is different. This is not men. This is industry on wheels. At Eisenhower's headquarters in Versailles, Lieutenant General John Sich Lee, the theater quartermaster, slams a fist on the map table. Gentlemen, the enemy is trying to cut our throat. We will feed him steel instead. He has stripped every port from Cherbourg to Antwerp, commandeered French railroads, even civilian trucks. Cigarettes are rationed to 2 packs a week so the trucks can have tires. French wine barrels are drained to store gasoline. Nothing matters except tonnage. And the tonnage is staggering. 12,500 tons per day now, more than the entire German army in the West can muster in a week. High overhead, a flight of P-47 Thunderbolts from the 406th Fighter Group circles like hawks. Their pilots, chewing gum and sipping coffee from thermos caps, watch the convoy below. Any German vehicle that twitches near the route gets a 500-pound bomb for breakfast. Captain Chuck Yeager, already a legend with 5 kills, dives on a lone Kubelwagen trying to flank the column. The car erupts in a fireball, and Yeager pulls up laughing over the radio. That's one less Jerry getting our gas. On the ground, the drivers feel invincible. Private First Class James Ruckert, hauling ammunition through a blizzard near Bastogne, sees a sign scrawled by an MP, Red Ball Express, closed to all but God and Eisenhower. He grins despite the cold. They are the artery. Cut them, and the Allied armies bleed out. But they cannot be cut. Not tonight. Not tomorrow. And in a damp cellar outside La Gleize, Joachim Paper receives a radio message from Pochk, enemy supply columns endless. No sign of slowing. Recommend immediate withdrawal. Paper crumples the paper, lights it with his Zippo, watches the flame consume the words. Withdrawal. The word tastes like defeat. He looks at his map, the bold arrows now smudged with doubt. The Ardennes was supposed to be quiet. The Americans were supposed to be tired. Instead, something monstrous is moving in the dark, something that never sleeps, never runs out, never forgives. How do you fight a supply line that stretches from the factories of Detroit to the front door of your last tank? December 22nd, 1944. 1,100 hours. A bombed-out barn on the outskirts of Malmedy, Belgium. The air inside hangs heavy with the stench of manure, blood, and unwashed fear. Snow drifts through shattered roof beams, dusting the dirt floor like powdered ash. You can hear it first, the ragged breathing, the clink of dog tags against belt buckles, the low murmur of German voices thick with exhaustion. Then the door bursts open, admitting a squad of American MPs from the 291st Military Police Battalion, their Thompson submachine guns leveled, faces smeared with camo paint and frost. In the center, hands bound behind his back, stands Oberstleutnant Otto Skorzeny. Wait, no, not him. This is Generalleutnant Heinrich Freiherr von Luttwitz, commander of the WWII Panzer Corps, 58 years old, his iron cross dangling crookedly on a uniform torn at the cuffs. Captured that morning during a botched counterattack near Rockefort, his staff officers huddle around him. Major Hans Schmidt, eyes hollow from 72 hours without sleep, Hauptmann Karl Weber, a staff judge advocate clutching a blood-stained briefcase. They were elite once, architects of the blitzkrieg that stunned Europe in 40. Prisoners. The Americans shoved them against the wall, frisking roughly, ripping maps from pockets. Sprechen Sie English? A sergeant barks. Von Luttwitz straightens, chin up. A little. Outside, the red ball roars past. Another convoy, 200 trucks strong, engines growling like a mechanical beast. The Germans flinch at the sound, peering through cracks in the barn wall. Endless. Unceasing. Von Luttwitz watches a Mack truck haul a trailer of .50 caliber ammo belts, tires churning mud into slurry. Behind it, a fuel Bowser sloshes 3,000 gallons of 100 octane. Then rations, crates of Spam, D-bars, coffee in 5-gallon tins. Mein Gott, Schmidt whispers, how many? Weber counts aloud, 1, 10, 50, he stops at 150, shaking his head. The column stretches a mile back, vanishing into the haze. The interrogation begins in a canvas tent nearby, heated by a sputtering Coleman stove. Major Harlan Ames, U.S. Army Intelligence, CIC agent with a Brooklyn accent sharp as a bayonet, slides a cigarette across the table. General, your boys put up a hell of a fight. But tell me, those panzers of yours. Fuel. Von Luttwitz exhales smoke, staring at the glowing tip. He's seen the reports. Papers Kampfgruppe stalled 20 miles short of the Meuse, tanks abandoned like rusting skeletons. His own corps, 150 vehicles operational out of 500. Ammo? 1 barrage left. Frostbite claiming more than bullets. Ames leans in, voice low. Look out the flap, General. See that? Red Ball Express. We're shipping 12,000 tons a day. Fuel to burn. Bullets by the truckload. Your Fuhrer thought we'd crack. Want to know what we do when we're mad? He gestures to a map pinned to the tent pole, arrows marking supply routes from Cherbourg to Bastogne, dotted lines for airlifts from England. C-47 Skitrans dropping 81mm mortars to the 101st Airborne, besieged but unbroken. We replace. We reinforce. We bury you in it. Von Luttwitz's eyes widen, tracing the lines. He's a logistician at heart, planned the drive on Moscow in 41, watched it choke on 500 miles of mud. But this? Antwerp unbombed, ports churning like factories. Railheads at Rheims stacking shells 40 feet high. Unmöglich, he mutters. You cannot have so much. Ames chuckles, bitter. Detroit, Pittsburgh, Ford plants churning out trucks faster than you can blow 'em up. We lost 900 vehicles in your push. Already replaced. Twice over. Schmidt, unable to hold back, blurts in broken English. We saw your Luftwaffe. Nothing. But these trucks, guarded by fighters. P-47s. Every hour. He mimics the dive-bombing scream, hands slashing air. Weber nods, voice cracking. In the forest, we ambushed one column. 20 trucks. Killed the drivers. Next dawn, 200 came. With tanks. The tent falls silent, save for the wind howling outside and the distant honk of a convoy horn. Ames presses. Your boss? Von Rundstedt. He gambled on surprise. What now? Von Luttwitz meets his gaze, the fire gone from his eyes. We underestimated. America is not a nation. It is a machine. The words hang, heavy as lead. Outside, a P-47 thunders low, wing guns stitching the treeline. Another German scout truck vaporized. The generals flinch as one. In that moment, realization crashes like artillery. These men, who conquered France in 6 weeks, who stared down Stalin's hordes, now see the abyss. Not Soviet numbers, not British grit. American abundance. Endless. Relentless. The supply lines aren't lines, they're veins, pumping the heart of an industrial titan. Von Luttwitz whispers to Schmidt, too low for Ames to hear, Sag is Niemann. But, we are finished. As the MPs haul them to a truck for Schaef HQ, von Luttwitz steals one last look. The red ball flows on, headlights blazing defiance. A revelation burns in his chest. The Bulge isn't a battle. It's a funeral march. But for whom? For the Reich? Or for any dream of victory? The convoy horn blares again. Closer. Hungrier. December 25, 1944. 0600 hours. Bastogne, Belgium. The sky is the color of dirty steel, low clouds pregnant with snow. Inside the encircled town, the men of the 101st Airborne Division huddle in cellars, their breath freezing on scarves. Ammunition is down to a handful of rounds per man. 1K ration split between 3. Frostbite has turned fingers black. Yet they hold. Because they know. High above the clouds, a fleet of C-47 Skitrans thunders east, engines droning like angry hornets. Operation Repulse, 289 aircraft, each carrying 4,000 pounds of hope. Parachutes bloom, white, yellow, red, drifting down through flak bursts that bloom orange against the dawn. Bundles of 81mm mortar rounds, medical kits, artillery shells, even Christmas dinner in cans. One chute fails to open. A crate of .30 caliber ammo slams into a frozen field and bursts, cartridges scattering like golden hail. A GI laughs anyway, teeth chattering. Santa's got a hell of a sense of humor. On the ground, glider pilots wrestle Waco CG-4s through turbulence, landing on roads turned into makeshift strips. One glider skids, snaps a wing, spills surgeons from the 101st Medical Detachment straight into the snow. They pick themselves up, laughing, scalpels already out. Within hours, operating tables are set up in a convent basement, ether mixing with incense as medics save legs that would have been lost in any other army. Back in the German command posts, the news hits like a sledgehammer. General Feldmarschall Walter Model, commanding Army Group B, slams a fist on the situation map. They are resupplying a surrounded city by air. In winter, his chief of staff, General Hans Krebs, pale as the snow outside, points to intercepted radio traffic. 962 tons dropped in 48 hours. And still the red ball rolls. From the south, the 4th Armored Division is clawing toward Bastogne, led by Lieutenant Colonel Creighton Abrams and his Sherman tanks, fueled by convoys that never sleep. Model stares at the pins marking American units. They should be starving. They should be surrendering. Instead, they fight harder. Radio intercepts reveal Patton's Third Army has turned 90 degrees in 3 days, a maneuver that would have taken the Wehrmacht weeks. Because every tank that breaks down is replaced within hours. Every crew that dies is swapped out before the body is cold. The Americans don't retreat. They reload. At von Rundstedt's headquarters, the old field marshal receives a captured American newspaper dropped by propaganda leaflet. The headline screams, "Merry Christmas, Nazis," from Detroit. Inside, photos of assembly lines in Michigan, women in overalls riveting Liberty ships, conveyor belts spitting out M4 Shermans at the rate of one every 5 minutes. A single plant in Willow Run produced more bombers in 1944 than the entire Luftwaffe. Von Rundstedt folds the paper slowly, hands trembling. He has seen the future, and it is mass production. That night, in a candlelit chateau near Huffeleis, a group of captured German officers share a bottle of looted cognac. Oberst Friedrich von Hauser, formerly of the 2nd Panzer Division, raises his glass with bitter irony. To the Amos, he slurs. They do not fight with courage. They fight with factories. Laughter, hollow and broken. Another officer, a young Hauptmann with a bandaged head, whispers the rumor making the rounds. American truck drivers are paid overtime. Overtime. In the middle of a war. The concept is so alien it feels obscene. Across the lines, the Red Ball drivers keep moving. Sergeant Snowden, the same man from days earlier, now on his 4th straight run, passes a sign nailed to a tree by some wag. Through these gates pass the best damn truck drivers in the world. He smiles for the first time in a week. His truck is loaded with 105mm shells destined for the guns that will soon pound Paper's trapped Kampfgruppe into scrap. In Bastogne, at 1,145 hours, the sky clears just long enough for Brigadier General Anthony McAuliffe to step outside the command post. A runner skids up, breathless. "Sir, armor on the South Road." "It's the 4th Armored." McAuliffe looks up, eyes wet. Tanks rumble into view, stars gleaming on turrets slick with ice. Abrams himself climbs out of his Sherman, Thunderbolt 7, and salutes. "Sorry we're late, sir. Traffic was murder." The 101st cheers until their throats bleed. The corridor is open. Bastogne is saved. The Bulge is no longer a bulge. It's a blister about to burst. And somewhere in the snowy dark, a German radioman intercepts the American signal, "Nuts to the Germans, Bastogne relieved." He translates it for his commander, who simply closes his eyes. The supply lines didn't just hold. They struck back. But the real reckoning is still coming. Because now the Allies aren't just defending. They're advancing. And the factories back home? They're just getting warmed up. January 3rd, 1945. 0430 hours. A frozen ridge near Foy, Belgium. The wind howls like a wounded animal, whipping snow into blinding curtains that erase the line between earth and sky. You can taste metal in the air, cordate, blood, the sharp tang of fear. German soldiers of the 26th Volksgrenadier Division crouch in shallow trenches, their Mausers wrapped in rags to keep the bolts from freezing. Their greatcoats are patched with American blankets stolen from abandoned trucks. Their bellies are empty. Their hope is gone. Across no man's land, the Americans come. Not in a rush, not in a charge. They come like a tide that has all the time in the world. First the artillery. 155mm long toms from the 969th Field Artillery Battalion, shells screaming in from batteries that never seem to run dry. Each gun fires 40 rounds an hour, and there are hundreds of guns. The barrage walks forward in perfect synchronization, a steel curtain that pulverizes bunkers, flips half-tracks like toys, buries entire companies under avalanches of snow and splintered pine. Then the infantry. Men of the 17th Airborne Division, fresh from England, boots still shiny, advance behind rolling barrages with the casual confidence of tourists on a stroll. Their M1 Garand spit fire in steady, practiced bursts. A sergeant yells, "Keep it moving!" Plenty more where that came from. And there is. Ammunition crates stamped, "Our Depot," to Illa, who litter the snow, lids pried open, belts of .30-06 gleaming like gold. Behind them, the Shermans of the 11th Armored Division grind forward, engines purring on fresh fuel delivered at dawn by the Red Ball. A German Pak 75 crew, hidden in a ruined farmhouse, scores a direct hit on the lead tank. The Sherman brews up, crew bailing out into the snow. The Germans cheer, then watch in stunned silence as 3 more Shermans simply drive around the wreck and keep coming. 3 more. Then 5. Then 10. The gun commander, a scarred veteran from Stalingrad, lowers his binoculars. "Is hat keinen Sinn," he whispers. It makes no sense. At von Rundstedt's forward HQ in a half-collapsed schoolhouse near St. Vith, The radios crackle with disaster. One by one, divisions report the same nightmare: ammunition expended, fuel gone, counterattacks smashed before they begin. The 12th SS Panzer Division Hitlerjugend, once 120 tanks strong, now fields 9. The Führerbegleiter Brigade, Hitler's personal bodyguard, is down to a single company of infantry. Model's voice comes over the secure line, hoarse with rage and despair. They are attacking everywhere at once. With everything. We have nothing left to stop them. Von Rundstedt says nothing. He stands at the window, watching another convoy snake past on the distant road. American trucks, headlights blazing, moving east now. Not west. Toward Germany. He recognizes the sound, the same relentless growl that haunted his dreams since December 16th. Only now it is louder, closer, final. In a cellar prison at Spa, Generalleutnant von Luttwitz, the captured corps commander, is allowed 1 hour of exercise in the courtyard. He stops dead when he sees it, a column of brand new M24 Chaffee light tanks rolling off flatbed trailers, straight from the Antwerp docks. Crews in clean coveralls hop down, joking, cigarettes dangling. One tank has a chalked message on the turret: Detroit, Oregon bust. Von Luttwitz feels something break inside him. He has commanded armies across half of Europe. He has seen Paris fall in days. Now he watches teenagers in zippered jackets climb into machines that rolled off assembly lines while he was still planning his offensive. That night, Paper's remnants, 120 men out of 5,000, slipped through the woods near La Glise, abandoning their last King Tiger in a ditch, fuel tank bone dry. Paper himself, face blackened with soot, pauses at a crossroads. An American MP waves a convoy through. Paper counts 47 trucks in 3 minutes. He turns to his adjutant, voice barely audible over the engines. We never had a chance. Not against this. By January 25th, the Bulge is erased. The last German salient is pinched off near Huffeleis. Captured Wehrmacht officers, marched west in long gray columns, pass endless lines of American vehicles moving the other way. One prisoner, a colonel from the 5th Panzer Army, stops an American lieutenant. Tell me, he asks in perfect English, how many trucks do you have? The lieutenant shrugs. Hell, Colonel, we stopped counting at 100,000. The Germans stare as the Red Ball Express, now renamed the ABC Highway for the final push, rolls on toward the Rhine. Drivers wave. Some toss cigarettes. The prisoners catch them automatically, hands trembling. No one boos. No one spits. There is only silence, the silence of men who have seen the face of something too vast to fight. In his cell at Trent Park, England, von Rundstedt will later dictate to British listeners hidden behind the walls. The war was lost the moment the first American truck rolled off the Normandy beaches. We simply didn't know it yet. The supply lines never stopped. They never slowed. They simply kept coming, mile after mile, ton after ton, until the Third Reich was buried beneath them. And in the spring, when the grass grows green over the frozen graves of the Ardennes, the only sound left is the distant echo of engines, American engines, rolling east, toward Berlin, toward the end.